This is your Cosmic Briefing, a short clip from the Urantia Book for Dummies. Please, stand by.
Have you ever been told a joke that you didn't get? A skeleton walks into a bar, calls the bartender over, and says, "Give me a beer and a mop." Everyone in the room is killing themselves laughing, holding their sides, drinks running out of their nose, and you're just standing there with a puzzled look on your face, saying, "I don't get it." We've all done it. You might remember having that happen to you and how that felt, being in that awkward position. Usually, this is when someone steps up and tries to explain it to you. But as E.B. White's famous analogy points out, explaining a joke is like dissecting a frog. You might understand it better, but the frog dies in the process. Well, then eventually, with enough explaining, the light goes on. Bling! But the moment, it's kind of lost, and we feel slightly embarrassed. Or sometimes what's even worse is when you're the only one in the room who does get it. You're the one holding your side, killing yourself laughing, while everyone else is standing around looking at you with the puzzled looks on their faces and saying, "I don't get it." Well, both of these experiences are very much like what the spiritual experience is. For hundreds of thousands of years, there have been those who get it and those who don't. And this has become part of the great debate that is causing such a great deal of conflict in our world today. The Urantia Book tells us in paper 101, "To all of your fellows who have had a similar spiritual experience, no argument about the spiritual experience is necessary. While to all of those who are not so sure of this, no possible argument could ever be truly convincing." Boy, ain't that the truth. While this is the main theme of this chapter 3, the unconscious civilization, in the Urantia Book for Dummies, section 1, we want to talk about this. The Urantia Book defines spirituality as the augmentation of cosmic insight. Augmentation means is becoming greater, larger, more. Cosmic insight they identify as the grasp of universe meanings. In paper 16, it goes on to tell us that our moral nature would be impotent without the art of measurement, the discrimination embodied in an ability to scrutinize meanings. It makes us different than the animals. Likewise, would moral choosing be futile without that cosmic insight which yields the consciousness of spiritual values, as we talked about back in chapter 2. So here, the Urantia Book is telling us that it is mind that gives us this ability to scrutinize meanings, and cosmic insight which yields the consciousness of spiritual values. Mind and spirit working together. Mind is a phenomenon connoting the present activity of energy systems. We are an energy system, and our mind is an energy system that's attached to this. And this is true on all levels of intelligence. We'll explain the mechanics of mind and the physics of spirit as we go along, even in this chapter. The Urantia Book goes on and it says that in personality, mind ever intervenes between spirit and matter. We talked about this in chapter 2, Matter, Mind, and Spirit. It goes on, "Therefore is the universe illuminated by 3 kinds of light. 1, physical or material light, like a light bulb or the sun at the center of our solar system. 2, there's intellectual insight, like getting a joke. And 3, there's spiritual luminosity. This is the light part of the word enlightenment. There's this characteristic light, spiritual luminosity that is known as the pilot light. Sometimes it's called the light of life, sometimes referred to as the true light which lights every child who comes into the world. We've heard these before. Now this begs the question then from chapter 2. Is this darkness, which seems to be overtaking our world, our planet, is this darkness the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb? Well, if it's the darkness of the womb, then we need a womb with a view, because this depends on our world view. Whether your worldview is bottom up or whether your worldview is top down, from what often is a cliche saying meaning 30,000 miles up. Much like the traffic report on television news in the early morning, the view from above shows all the little red and white snakes weaving their way through the main streets of the city, showing all the trouble spots, the accidents, the gridlock along the way. This is the top-down view. But to the person in the middle of the traffic jam, sitting in their car wondering what's going on, all they can see is the immediate problems right straight in front of them. It's causing them all this trouble, going to make them late for work. This is the bottom-up view. Now, using another analogy, we'll try to understand the cosmic perspective, using top-down, bottom-up. Suppose you won a contest to be the very first human being ever to look through the world's most powerful telescope ever built. This telescope is so powerful that it can look right into the center of the universe. Now imagine that you put your eye up to the telescope's eyepiece, you focus your image on that very center of the universe, and what do you see? What you see is another even bigger telescope with an even bigger eye looking right back at you. Well, us, really. Well, that is what these 196 papers called the Urantia papers, the Urantia Book, tell us. The Urantia Book is a collection of papers, all written by experts in their fields, and telling us what our world looks like from 30,000 miles up. The Urantia Book, in many ways, is this telescope looking back at us. The Urantia Book itself gives us a top-down perspective of how our planet, our societies, and ourselves have evolved to this point, and what the solutions are to the problems that we face here in this step, this next step in the spiral of evolutionary development. Many who have read these papers have said that this book feels like the cosmic Rosetta Stone, unlocking connections and routes to a panoply of different ideas and concepts, meanings and values, giving us a full set of tools to assist us in taking evolution to the next step through the decisions and the choices that we make today that will determine our future. What the Urantia Book tells us first is that in order to understand this, we need an interpretive framework, a bigger, better idea of how we got into this situation, where we are at in the evolution of our species, and provides us with a better decision-making mechanism with which to make better choices and decisions if we are to move this civilization and our own lives forward in this new world that is emerging that most of us don't even understand. We need a better decision-making mechanism. And Alfred North Whitehead, one of the great mathematicians, philosophers, great minds of the 20th century, surely hits the nail on the head when he declares this in this statement. He writes, "In each stage or epoch of the world where there is a surging forward into a new society, like now, there will be found some profound cosmological worldview implicitly accepted, pressing its own flavor on the current springs of action." Now, we often refer to this as a paradigm shift, this profound cosmological worldview, and it is the interpretive framework in whatever age it influences, whether it be the clan societies, the tribal configurations, the agricultural age, the industrial age, or the modern worldview. We've all had our own cosmological worldview about how the world works, our place in the universe. And has always been the view of the universe and reality that inspires a whole new interpretation of purpose, a kind of internal energy that emerges and sets fire to the mind and the spirit of the human adventure, right? Filling the sails of society with a new energy and propelling the ship of civilization ahead at a breakneck speed into the next level of social evolution, from clans to tribes to traditional world to the modern world. This interpretive framework that we use. We saw this when Christopher Columbus stumbled into the New World, and the world became round instead of flat. A paradigm shift, an interpretive framework. And what the Urantia Book is telling us is we need a new one. The Urantia Book for Dummies, on the other hand, is a bottom-up investigation of these papers and these suggested solutions from our perspective, as we look at these situations that we face in this critical moment in history from the bottom up. Like the guy stuck in the traffic jam, who's completely in the dark and wondering what the problem is up ahead. Why aren't we moving? Why aren't we moving forward? And how this is going to affect his life. Now, often, when we think of the word dummy, we might think of, maybe the crash test dummy we use to make our technology safe. Or we may even think of a person whose intellectual light is a bit dim. But that is not how we are using the word dummies here in these presentations. Here we are using the word as an acronym formed from the initial letters D, M, M, Y, S. What we need now is a better decision-making mechanism to make those choices and decisions that will move us from an age of destruction to a higher age of construction, building a world that works, both for the individual as well as our society, our world, our planet. And we begin with the individual. The Urantia Book tells us in paper 145, do you not realize that the hope for a better nation or a better world is bound up in the progress and enlightenment of the individual? We each individually need a decision-making mechanism for ourself. Hence the word dummies. The Urantia Book tells us that the thing is, we already have one. It's built right into the mind energy system within each one of us, like an app. But it didn't come with a how-to operator's manual. And our trial and error experimental use of it has led us into some very difficult situations, both individually as well as globally, as we maneuver through this labyrinth of evolution on our individual tightropes. And this is what the Urantia Book is. A new operator's handbook for this new age of our civilizational evolution and the decision-making mechanisms that are going to be needed in order to move our civilization from where we are to where we need to be. The Urantia Book tells us that there is always a right and proper way through any problem, conflict, or challenge. In the face of any alternative, there's a perfect solution, a right and proper way through anything that comes up, any problem that we face, and all we need to do is to learn to play the game of life as we live it, day by day, moving through this, the human experience. In this investigation, we have taken many ideas, ideals, meanings, and values suggested in the Urantia Book, and we plug these into our futuring tools for monitoring these trends into this new era, this new world, this new age that is already breaking through out of the darkness and into the light of a new day over our planet. But it's sad to record that so few persons take delight in playing this game by cultivating these qualities of courageous and independent thinking. And so here in the Urantia Book for Dummies, the decision-making mechanism for yourself, we're going to practice playing this game, understanding these ideas, these ideals, bringing these meanings and these values into our life. By playing the game of life from the suggested ideas in the Urantia Book of building a serviceable scaffolding with which to frame the ideas presented in the book, as in paper 115. It reads, partial, incomplete, and evolving intellects would be helpless in the master universe, would be unable to form the first rational thought pattern, were it not for the innate ability of all mind, high or low, to form a universal frame in which to think. If mind cannot fathom conclusions, if it cannot penetrate to true origins, then will such mind unfailingly postulate conclusions and invent origins that it may have a means of logical thought within the frame of these mind-created postulates. And while such universe frames for creature thought are indispensable to rational, intellectual operations, they are, without exception, erroneous to a greater or lesser degree. Conceptual frames of the universe are only relatively true. They are serviceable scaffolding which must eventually give way before the expansions of enlarging cosmic comprehension. The understandings of truth, beauty, goodness, morality, ethics, duty, love, divinity, origin, existence, our purpose, destiny, time, space are only relatively true. So this is where game theory comes in. In paper 110, we read this: adjusters are playing the sacred and superb game of the ages. They are engaged in one of the supreme adventures of time and space. They're telling us that there's a game afoot and that we are a part of it. When we use game theory as a conceptual frame with which to frame the picture of what the Urantia Book is telling us, we have an excellent, serviceable scaffolding with which we can logically present the ideas, ideals, meanings, and values contained in the Urantia papers. Game theory, which is used by most economists, scientists, philosophers, etc., is a powerful educational tool used in most colleges and universities. The Urantia Book is inferring that our life and our whole journey through the universe is a heuristic educational game. Not heuristic, heuristic. Heuristic means to be found or discovered for oneself. A heuristic method is an approach most of us use all the time. These are the rules of thumb, our educated guesses, intuitive hunches, judgments, or simply common sense that we use in a general way to solve problems. This enables us to discover or learn something for ourselves through a hands-on learning or learn by doing approach. And that's what heuristic means. It's the interactive approach to learning through experience, by working to the solution of a problem by trial and error, what is sometimes called by the seat of our pants. Through this method of exploratory problem solving, we develop techniques of self-education that we use to improve our performance or our results in life, and thereby grow and improve our life. Learn by experience is what the Urantia papers are telling us, and that we are on a journey from here to eternity through this game environment in which we experience the fullness and the richness of life as it exists and as we participate fully and completely in it. So we invite you to join us in the next segment as we begin to present the ideas of this game. We begin to talk about futuring and the tools of the science of futuring. as the Urantia papers are very interested in our future. So we invite you to join us in our next segment and come and play UB the game and test your decision-making mechanism for yourself and see if there isn't some way to strengthen, upgrade, upload a new one, and see the results of your life beginning to improve. If you are watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and we'll notify you when the next episode is up. If you're watching this on some other of your favorite media, then follow this address here to our YouTube channel, click on subscribe, or go to this address, urantiabookfordummies.org, and get on our mailing list and we'll let you know when the next notification is up. So, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me and with you. See you in the next segment.
When I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. Let them know me as the footprints that I've left upon the sand. Let them laugh for all the laughter. Let them cry for laughter's end. When I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. And when I die, let them toast to all the things that I believe. Let them raise a glass to consciousness, not spill a drop for grief. Let them bubbles rise at midnight. Let their tongues get light as thieves. When I die, let them toast to all the things that I believe. 'Cause I believe in restless hunger. I believe in red balloons. I believe in private thunder. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in inspiration. I believe in lightning bugs. I believe in slow creation. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in ink on paper. I believe in lips on ears. I believe what shared is savor. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in work on Sundays. I believe in raising barns. I believe in wasted Mondays. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in intuition. I believe in being wrong. I believe in contradiction. In the end, I do believe, and I believe in living smitten. I believe all hearts will mend. I believe our book is written by our company of friends. So when I die, let them judge me by my company of friends. Let them know me as the footprints that I've left upon the sand. Let them laugh for all the laughter. Let them cry for laughter's end. And when I die, let them judge me by my company of friends.
This has been a Cosmic Briefing, a short clip from the Urantia Book for Dummies. Please click the subscribe button above and then follow these links for a full presentation of this briefing. Thank you.